Welcome again, colleagues. This is Brihannia White. I wanted to do things a bit differently and try a picture picture type of slide presentation. I don't know how successful I was with it, but this is my attempt, and let's look at my reflections for Module 4. How does my experience compare to the literature? In my experience as a secondary school teacher, students may ask, Miss, why am I learning this? How will this help me? Or they may say, Miss, I don't know how I feel about this. I agree or I disagree with what you said. Reflective practice allows my students to make meaning and co-create their world, but more importantly, according to Pavlovic et al. 2009, find their voice and purpose. As a teacher, I become a reflective facilitator as I encourage a habit of reflection and mindfulness. My students, the digital natives, are given a choice to record their reflective practice digitally. I facilitate reflective practice through the design of my lesson plans. Ongoing reflection becomes part of the learning activities conducted before, during, and after instructional delivery. For example, I may prepare students for the next topic at the end of a lesson. My starter activity may require students to ponder a driving question, construct a concept map, or complete a digital puzzle related to the topic. Students may respond to open-ended questions or deliberate issues with their peers during the class to demonstrate their understanding. Toktarova and Panturova 2015 highlight a multimodal approach to teaching and learning design and products. As an ICT teacher, I believe that my students should learn by doing. That is, they learn about digital tools by exploring and using them in their lessons. When students create new artifacts, essays, videos, audio recordings, multimedia presentation, photo galleries, it is evidence of their learning. As reflective guides, I feel teachers should assist students by providing prompt questions, sentence depth, especially for younger learners, self checklists, rubrics for feedback, templates, and sample ideas. Digital reflective artifacts will allow students to connect with their work personally, emotionally, meaningfully, and purposefully. We provide an opportunity for students to take active ownership of their learning. While in my reading, studies, and teaching training programs, much is harped about the teacher being a reflective practitioner. The reality is that my school reflective practice is not a policy or mandatory activity. There is minimal talk, if any, that mentions the topic. However, I see opportunities where teachers may reflect while preparing schemes of work, lesson plans, and record and evaluation documents. So too, some reflection may take place during the pre and post conference of clinical supervisions. If it is an expectation that teachers reflect on their practice, then it is a quiet one. Then this highlights the benefits of peer and student contributions to instructional design. Unfortunately, as both a student teacher and teacher, I learned that the teacher is solely responsible for his or her lesson plans. While I welcome a collaborative and supportive approach to lesson design, I foresee some potential challenges administrators and teachers must overcome. One, mistrust. Some teachers seem to be very guarded about their lessons and teaching approaches. Simply asking a teacher for a lesson idea or resource is greeted by suspicion, skepticism, and a combative attitude. In my experience, some teachers are unwilling to share ideas or teaching material unless they are rewarded or praised by senior officials. Group dynamics. Some teachers have openly expressed that they do not like group tasks. While I may agree that some personalities may be better at working alone, there are more social, cultural, and pedagogical gains through peer learning, student input, and reflexive dialogue. Untrained professionals. Teacher education programs promote teachers as reflective practitioners. It is there a teacher can develop his or her reflective writing skills during practicum. However, in some Caribbean territories, we see many unqualified teachers in the service for extended periods without formal teacher education. 4. Lack of learning transfer. Much of what we learn at pre-service, in service, and teacher workshop schools are not enforced. In my experience, the best models taught at teacher education programs do not exist at the schools. Many times, teachers, willingly or unwillingly, revert to those existing systems upon completion of each of teacher training. So, if it is not mandatory to engage in reflective practice, then there is no pressing need for teachers to reflect. It is up to the individual teacher to practice and record his or her reflections. Digital competence or incompetence. As an advocate and quoter for ICTs in education, I am eagerly awaiting research papers on digital literacy among teachers during and post-pandemic period. In my bias, I enjoy the quick shift many teachers made to online learning and digital technologies. While I sympathize with those who struggle, it was a necessary thrust to modern education. When it comes to my reflective practice, I do not want to depend on one reflective model or theorist. I want the best from each of them. Presently, I base my reflective process on the works of Kolb's, Learning Through Experience, Gibbs, Emotional Feelings, Action Plans, Brookfield, Four Critical Lenses, Self, Students, Peers, and Established Literature, Schoen's, Reflect During, Before, and After the Event. If I were to design a reflective model, it will incorporate elements of reflection for action that addresses the orienting context, knowing in action, the knowledge, skills, and attitude that we unknowingly bring to the class, reflection and action, being self-aware and self-evaluative during the instruction, reflection on action, usually structured post-mortem of the instructional delivery, and critical reflection, design input and feedback from peers, students, and established literature on my work. One of my challenges with reflective practice is assessing digital reflective artifacts. How do I fairly mark a reflective essay against a digital photo collection or a video against an audio recording? Some students are more digitally competent and more familiar with or have more access to mobile learning technologies than their peers and sometimes teachers. Inherently, some students may have a significant expressive advantage over others. In my reading, several authors pointed to Moon's map of learning to assess digital artifacts. As students produce elements of their artifacts, it represents their reflective progression through each level of the map, from noticing to transformative learning. Moving forward, two ideas come to mind. Reflexive pedagogy as described by Avantis. According to Avantis, reflective teachers continuously rethink what they learn, practice, and apply to improve their teaching. They engage in critical self-reflection and welcome input and feedback from peers and students alike. I believe that online technologies such as teacher group chats and professional learning networks can help me find like-minded teachers and bridge the distance between unwilling participants. Secondly, reflexive lesson plans. In this type of lesson plan, the teacher intentionally builds reflective practice into the lesson design before, during, and after instructional delivery. The teacher carefully plans and scaffolds each task, learning activity, and assessment with reflection in mind. This process may lead to transformational learning as students connect with the content, make meaning, and find purpose in their learning and development. So, colleagues, we have come to the end of this presentation. I am almost certain I am over the Pecha Kucha time, but I do hope that you can also connect with my reflections and you see a bit of yourself and that you will leave feedback so we can both grow and develop together. Okay, colleagues, thank you.